the blueprint. Sipping rage and youthful exuberance. Everybody loves to root for a nuisance. Hit the earth like an asteroid, needing nothing but you.
Like the line I too. I'm thinking you fraudulent. Inject that collagen from your heart to your car.
Pull up, diamond Billy shining with the bangles out.
Shalom, Kol Halayim La, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Wahar Rakak Badash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well for teaching me this truth. Salutations to the hopeful elect, all right? To you brothers out there across the globe pushing this truth with all righteousness and sincerity. And to you few sincere sisters who hearken as well diligently. Peace, love, and blessings. Kaya here back with another video, all right? And this will just be another installment of Jake or Fake, all right? I'm going to make this one real quick. It's going to be real short. I actually tried to do it like twice in the beginning of the week, you know, when I came across it on YouTube. However, copyright issues or whatever, prevented me from uploading a video interview he was doing with the show. I forgot the name of the show, but it's like a Korean show or whatever, where they interview like, K-pop idols and models and so on and so forth, pretty much anybody famous or whatever. But YouTube wouldn't let me upload because of the copyright of the game show or whatever the case. But it's all through the spirit. So this is Hyun-Min. He's a quote unquote Nigerian Korean, which there's no such thing as being two nationalities at once. All right, but he identifies as a Korean Nigerian model actor who gained national recognition by becoming the first Korean model of African descent to walk the catwalks in South Korea and internationally. All right, so that's what it says on Wikipedia. And we go into his Wikipedia because that's what we'll do first. And he was born in Seoul, Korea. I listen to a lot of R&B or used to listen to a lot of R&B and rap from the so-called Koreans who would today identify as Moabites. Okay. But we have a lot of people over there in, South Korea, namely Seoul, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans over there in that area. All right. That's why, you got a lot of them coming out like rapping and doing the R&B. They call it K-pop and K-rap and K-R&B and so on and so forth, because a lot of those are Jakes, man. They're entertainers, And now you got Jake. I mean, you got Jake, who's the best model, because when you look at some of these models and stuff like that, like you see their comely features and delicate features and so on and so forth, and their liveliness. A lot of them are Jakes, man. Not saying that there's no comeliness of these other nations, all right, but they're just not like our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Native Americans. So even in looks, we dominate, man. All right. It says, I read his bio already. So let's go to early life. It says Han was born in 2001 to a Nigerian father and a Korean mother from the Han family of Cheongju. It says he was raised in the Itaewon neighborhood of Seoul, where many foreigners in South Korea reside. So there you go, man. All right, many foreigners reside in Seoul. Okay. Now, like I said, and even already before that, but once again, I believe that there's a lot of Israelites over there. Okay, because due to the curses, there's brothers and sisters scattered all over the place, man. All right. And when you go into, when I was watching that interview, he was going into his early life, and he was telling the host pretty much, I was discriminated against at an early age. Even though I spoke Korean, I grew up with them. He said I was always discriminated against because of my skin color. He was saying all the other Korean parents would tell their children not to play with him, not to talk to him, because he's so-called black. All right. And once again, that goes back to the curses, because he got a Nigerian father. All right. We still got brothers and sisters over there. All right. On the western part of that continent. All right. So this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. It says, "And the Lord Yahweh," all right, that's the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world inwardly calls God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. Okay. It says, "In the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people." Okay, so that's why we have brothers over there in the Koreas, the Chinas, okay, India, Africa, Hawaii, Australia, and so on and so forth, man. Europe. All right, it's Israelites all over the place, man. Who also are going to be in different skins. All right, they're gonna look like the other nations because when you've been scattered, all right, you intermingle with the people of that land. All right, eventually, what you start looking like them. All right, verse 64 continue. It says, "In there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." And that's exactly what happened, man. That's why you got Jake and all these other different philosophies and doctrines. All right, also acting like that. Not only do they look like the people of the other nations, but they act like them too. All right, following their doctrines and philosophies. Okay, like Catholicism, Buddhism. All right, and all these other philosophies around the world, man. All right, atheism. Verse 65, it says, "And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind." Okay, and that's exactly what he was going through, man. All right, he was being persecuted, for looking different. All right, being isolated, being individualized from the bunch, man. He was being bullied. Okay, and the Lord said that would happen. He didn't have no ease when he was younger. All right. Verse 66, it says, "And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life." Now that's going into depression and Jake's anxiety and suicidal thoughts and so on and so forth, man. All right, which he probably had these as well. All right, because when you get persecuted, when you face tribulation like that, if you're not a strong person, you know what I'm saying? You essentially want to kill yourself, man. All right, so he probably did, have suicidal thoughts and so on and so forth. Okay, like I was going into earlier. Okay, his father's a so-called Nigerian, which once again we do have people over there, and proof of that, all right, is the Roman persecution after Yahweh Shah went up into the chariots. Okay, because the scriptures say he was received up into a cloud, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, the Roman persecution, you can look this up. 70 AD. Okay. All right. We're going to look this up on Christian. Like I said, this is secular history, man. 70 AD, Titus destroys Jerusalem. It says, when a Roman general sacked the temple, the Jews were forced into a new era, and so were the Christians. All right. Let me see. Launching the revolt, the Jewish revolt began and met its bitter end at Masada, a hunk of rock overlooking the Dead Sea. The Romans had built a virtually impregnable fortress there, yet the atrocities of Florus inspired some crazy zealots to attack Masada. Amazingly, they won, slaughtering the Roman army there. Okay, so yeah, so it was a revolt, man. Okay, we was being persecuted. Notice it says Jews. All right, because the main tribes on that time was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. The darker tribes. Okay, the so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Haitians today, who we've been identified as. Okay, but notice it says Jews. It didn't say Africans. Okay, because the scriptures talk about a difference between Israel and the Egyptians. Okay, let me see. I'm not gonna read. Obviously, I'm not gonna read all of this. Well, yeah, you could read into it for yourself, man. Okay, you had let me see. I'll read this part right here. All right, it says, Cestius Callus, the Roman governor of the region, marched from Syria with 20,000 soldiers. He besieged Jerusalem for 6 months, yet failed. He left 6,000 dead Roman soldiers, not to mention weaponry that the Jewish defenders picked up and used. Emperor Nero then sent Vespasian, a decorated general, to quell the Judean rebellion. Vespasian put down the opposition in Galilee, then in Transjordan, then in Idumea. He circled in on Jerusalem, but before the coup de grace, Nero died. Vespasian became embroiled in a leadership struggle that concluded with the Eastern armies calling for him to be emperor. One of his first imperial acts was to appoint his son Titus to conduct the Jewish war, which we're not Jewish, okay? We're not even just Jews, we're Hebrew Israelites. All right, Jew just goes back to the term Judah. It says, by now Jerusalem was isolated from the rest, okay? Like I said, this is all, and in that time, they what? They fled into the western and eastern and southernmost parts of Africa, fleeing Roman persecution. Okay, so this is also, so you know, this guy, where's the article? I'll just pull it back up. So this guy, Hyun-Min, okay, this guy Hyun-Min, there's a good chance he's an Israelite, man, that he's a Jake, okay, because once again we had our people flee over there. All right, the scripture said it would happen. All right, the persecution. All right, he's you know, speaking a language, speaking a tongue, so he could be an Israelite, man. All right, because it all goes back to the seed of your father. And I'm gonna get this, and then I'll close out. And this is the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18. Okay, because what? The nationality of the child is determined by the father. That's why the term mutt or mixed doesn't exist. You can't be 2, 3, 12 nationalities at once. You can only be one nationality, and that's your father's nationality, because the man carries the seed, okay? The man carries the genetic makeup in his sac, all right, in his testicles. All right, like you got the expression family jewels, all right, because the testicles of a man are precious, man. All right, nations come from those things. All right. Numbers 1 and 18, it says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Okay, but the point, all right, is in the midst of it, it says by the house of their fathers, man. Okay, so that's how Israel is identified. You know what I'm saying? Through the household, through the seed of their fathers. All right. And it's going to be a time where what? There's going to be a lot more Israelite foreigners, all right, waking up and coming into the fold, asking questions, inquiring about salvation. And you black only Israelites are going to push them away, all right, because you do err not knowing the scriptures, man. All right. A so-called Chinese looking person, so-called Korean, Asian looking persons, a so-called white person might come up to you, all right, sincerely trying to inquire. You're going to push them away and tell them they're going into slavery, all right, because you want to be black only, man. All right, well, the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone don't push black only, man. All right, that term black is it's a negative stigma, man. Okay, Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy 30 and 3. All right, it says that then the Lord Yahweh thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee. All right, so we're coming into that time now. All right, this prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet. We're coming into that time where the Lord, all right, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah is gonna, cause Israel, all right, all over the world to return and wake back up to who they are, you know. So this prophecy is good. This prophecy is coming to pass very soon, man. Okay. The scriptures talk about declaring the end from the beginning. Okay. With the end of this age, this eon, the end of this age falling, all right, and the new one being risen up in righteousness. With that being said, Lord's willing, this was edifying. This has been another Jacob Fake. Shalom.